Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If sign-in system in High School DxD. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 181, Bullying Coterie, Identity Exposed. In Tengu City, within a 3-story building, I, along with Nia Hanju, who was dressed in an old down jacket and jeans, reached out and opened the door. I'm home. Drop dead, pervert. The moment I opened the door, Kotori Atsuka's flying kick came straight at me. Seeing Kotori still hadn't learned her lesson, I used telekinesis to control her, then sat down on the sofa, placing her on my lap. Still trying to kick me? Let's see how I punish you this time, Kotori-chan. I laughed even more wantonly, my hands not stopping their movements. Then, a flash of light. Whoosh! In an instant, Kotori Atsuka's clothes disintegrated into particles, vanishing completely, leaving only a set of blue and white panties and a bra. What the? Kotori Atsuka's face changed drastically. Suddenly finding herself nearly naked made her feel a chill and a sense of unease. My clothes and pants. Swish. Kotori Atsuka's face turned beet red, even her earlobes blushing. She immediately struggled even more fiercely. However, Kotori was firmly controlled by me. Then, I gave her bottom a firm slap. Pa*pa. Ow, ow, ow. Not far away, Nia Hanju witnessed this scene, her beautiful blue eyes shining, her tongue clicking repeatedly. This pose, this situation. It's too stimulating. Material. I must observe this carefully. I'll definitely insert this scene into my manga later. Suddenly. THTH this. What are you doing? Suddenly, a startled cry interrupted the three of them. My actions paused. Turning my head, I saw Shiori Atsuka, hands clasped over her small mouth, eyes wide. Seeing Shiori's astonished expression. Let go of me. Just as I was feeling awkward, Kotori Atsuka, lying on my lap, suddenly spoke up. I froze, then looked down. Tears were starting to well up in Kotori Atsuka's eyes. She's crying? Seeing this, I immediately released Kotori and reconstructed a set of clothes for her. After regaining her freedom, Kotori Atsuka quickly wiped away her tears. After creating some distance, she glared at me fiercely. Seeing this situation, I spread my hands. Can't blame me for that. Though, I suppose I did go a bit overboard. My bad. Making a little lowly cry, what a terrible sin. Hearing my words, Kotori Atsuka, from a distance, looked at me and directly bit through the lollipop in her mouth. This was the first time she had been bullied to tears. And to have her pants pulled down and her bottom spanked, even with her older sister watching, she felt so humiliated right now, she wanted to die. At this moment, the atmosphere in the living room was very strange. My expression was also somewhat awkward. I had been teasing Kotori, but unexpectedly, her older sister Shiori had seen it. How about, we sit down and have a proper chat? Hearing this, Kotori Atsuka was about to retort harshly, but remembering the humiliating scene just now, she felt too embarrassed to look at me and quickly turned her head away. Humph. Lolicon. Pervert. Subsequently, the four of them sat down together. And just as everyone sat down, I briefly explained Nia Hanju's situation. Anan? The second spirit? Hearing my words, Kotori and Shiori's faces changed drastically. However, looking at Nia Hanju beside them, who was chugging down drinks, their expressions were quite colorful. This girl was actually the second spirit, codenamed Sister. She doesn't look like a spirit at all. She's a complete shut-in otaku. Kotori Atsuka, having learned this big secret from me, turned her head to look at me, so angry that she once again bit through the lollipop in her mouth. You jerk! Why didn't you tell me about something this important beforehand? She never expected that just yesterday, she had reached a consensus with me to protect and seal spirits together. Unexpectedly, turning around, I had rescued a spirit, and even directly sealed her. Yet, for such a major event, I hadn't revealed a single hint to her. To this, I also offered a reasonable explanation. Wasn't this due to unforeseen circumstances? I happened to learn that Nia was being tortured, so I wanted to rescue her as soon as possible. In contrast, Kotori, who had originally been furious, was completely silenced by this explanation. He has a point, I guess. However, after Kotori calmed down slightly, her red eyes remained fixed on me. But how did you know the second spirit was captured by DEM? And how did you? Let's not get sidetracked. Before Kotori could continue her questions, I interrupted her. I'm a bit hungry right now. I'll go make dinner. How about I whip something up for you all? Huh? You cooking? You can cook? As if hearing something outrageous, Kotori Itsuka stared at me with wide eyes, her tone somewhat astonished. This lazy man who even forgets lunch, he could cook? Was he kidding? You look down on me? Immediately, I looked towards Shirori Itsuka beside me. Shirori, want to come help? Okay. After I and Shirori left, Nia Hanju, who had been chugging beer, put down her drink, a blush appearing on her cheeks due to the alcohol. Then, she turned her gaze towards Kotori Itsuka, a playful, mischievous smile on her lips. Hee, Imuto-chan, you're a spirit too, aren't you? Exclamation point. How do you know? As if realizing her voice was too loud, Kotori Itsuka immediately lowered her voice, looking directly at Nia Hanju. Where did you hear about this? My angel's ability is omniscience. If there's anything beyond the future, anything happening now, who's doing what, and any other information I want, I can find out. But actually, your spirit identity was already known by that young man. After all, his identity is... Buoyed by the alcohol, Nia Hanju blabbered on, spilling everything she knew about me. Kotori's expression grew increasingly horrified. By the time Nia Hanju finished speaking, she was too shocked to utter a word. Traveled from another world, an omnipotent god. Damn him. To think he has such a grand background. And he even knew about me, and my identity too. Recalling the dream I had described when they first met, this guy had clearly targeted her as well. This perverted lolicon. Thinking of this, Kotori Itsuka's small face gradually turned red. Chapter 182, Flirting with Morrisame Rain, the Gluttonous Princess Arrival. Since Princess returned to the neighboring world, Tengdu City had been free of spacequakes for over 10 days. Lately, my life had become quite leisurely. During the day at school, I either napped at my desk or played games online with Nia Hanju. Ever since learning my identity, Nia Hanju had been constantly pestering me to tell her stories about other worlds, saying she needed inspiration for her manga. Unable to withstand Nia Hanju's relentless pestering, I could only materialize a few smartphones for her. They included games like Honor of Kings, Naruto, and a vast collection of novels and manga. As a result, Nia now spent almost every day holed up in her room, binge-watching shows and playing games, a complete NET. Just as Nia and I were playing Honor of Kings, a familiar yet unfamiliar spacequake alarm suddenly blared again. Precursor to spacequake observed in Tengdu City. Residents, please evacuate to shelters immediately. This is not a drill. This is not a drill. Hearing the broadcast's warning, the teacher immediately organized the students for an orderly evacuation to the shelter. My future girlfriend's calling for a status check. Gotta go. Hearing the spacequake alarm, I sent a message and then unhesitatingly quit the game. Given the situation, I had no choice. Games were important, but a spirit wife was even more precious. Besides, this spacequake occurred at the school. If I wasn't mistaken, it should be that gluttonous princess. However, the other three teammates in the game instantly exploded. What the? That jerk just got a pentakill and now he's AFK? Freaking AFK noob. Seriously, what Even Nia Hanju chimed in from time to time, fanning the flames. I was oblivious to all this, as I was currently awaiting Princess's arrival from the neighboring world. Suddenly, my phone rang in my pocket. I quickly picked it up and answered without even looking at the caller ID. Moshi Moshi, Kotori-chan, what can I do for you? Sure enough, as soon as my voice fell, Kotori Atsuka's furious roar, like that of an enraged little tigress, came from the other end of the line. You bastard! Where's that earpiece I gave you on the ship? Why aren't you wearing it? Earpiece? What earpiece? Oh, found it. I'm really sorry, Kotori-chan, I forgot. After rummaging through my system space, I finally found a black earpiece. Hearing my unconcerned words, Kotori Atsuka gritted her teeth in anger. You bastard with a brain full of H. Never mind. Get ready quickly. The spirit this time is Princess, whose angel you snatched away last time. There's a high probability she'll appear at your school. Hearing this, I pondered. This indeed perfectly matched the plot of the original story. Commander, Princess is about to appear. Suddenly, as the frequency of the spatial fluctuations on the monitoring screen changed, Rain Morrisame reminded her. Got it. Kotori Atsuka turned her head to look at another monitoring screen displaying Raisin High School, her eyes flickering. Hibari Kyoya. I'll use Princess to verify if you're really as strong as Nia Hanju said. Boom! As a black hole's gravity continuously contracted and expanded, the next moment, a purple shockwave, expanded to its limit, swept across the entire school. Crack! Several school buildings collapsed. Simultaneously, the screen on Fraxinus monitoring Raisin High School also went black. Seeing the surveillance satellite destroyed by the spacequake, Kotori Atsuka stood up angrily, ordering her subordinates to deploy new surveillance and communication equipment. Just as she was about to continue her call with me, she suddenly found that the ongoing call had been directly disconnected. She was certain that this call wasn't disconnected by her accidentally pressing the wrong button, nor was it interrupted by the spacequake. There was only one reason. That damn jerk. Hanging up on me? He's dead. Crash. She had been so worried about him, yet he had hung up on her without a word. I'm worried sick about him, and he just hangs up without a word. That idiot. What does he think of my concern for him? The furious Kotori Atsuka directly smashed her phone. After calming down, Kotori Atsuka looked at Rain Morrisame beside her and said, Rain, call that bastard and confirm the situation. Remember to put it on speaker. Yes. On the other side. I hung up the phone and stood alone amidst the ruins of Raisin High School, sighing helplessly. This gluttonous princess always makes a grander entrance than me. She's practically destroyed the entire school. Guess I won't have to attend classes for the next few days. Buzz. Buzz. Suddenly, my phone vibrated in my pocket again. Strange? Who's calling me now? I took out my phone again, looked at the caller ID, and a mischievous grin spread across my face. Moshi Moshi, my dear Rain-chan, what's the matter? Don't tell me you're worried about my safety. Oh my. I'm so touched. Don't worry, after I deal with things here, I'll definitely find you for a thorough physical examination. Hearing my cheesy and affectionate, almost confessional greeting from the phone. Even the deeply experienced and shrewdly airhead beauty, Rain Morrisame, almost lost her composure, her eyelids twitching involuntarily. When did Kyoya and I become so close? How brazen could it be? Even QTI and the others in the ship's control room now stared at Rain Morrisame with strange expressions. Especially Kotori Atsuka, a hint of jealousy inevitably arose in her heart. She directly snatched the phone and cursed. You jerk! Since when did you become so close to Rain? Oh, so it's Kotori-chan. Hearing the voice from the other end, I couldn't help but feel a little awkward. After all, I had just hung up on her. I could only ask with a sheepish grin. Kotori-chan, is something wrong? Aboard the ship, Kotori Atsuka took a deep breath, suppressing her indignation.
I'm asking you, have you found any sign of Princess at the scene? Princess?
Hearing this, my gaze fixed on a school building that hadn't been completely destroyed by the spacequake, a mischievous smile appearing on my lips.
I've already seen her. I was just about to go find her. Wait a minute.
Regarding the plan to conquer Princess, we still need to discuss it properly. Hearing me say this, Kotori on the other end of the line quickly tried to stop me.
Huh? Discuss? Discuss what? To this, I didn't react for a moment, completely bewildered. Chapter 183, Kotori's Meltdown, The Adorable Princess's Return.
Of course, we need to discuss the princess conquering strategy. On the other end of the line, Kotori Itsuka, lollipop and mouth and legs crossed, wore an expression of utmost pride. To ensure we conceal the spirits without any mishaps, we at Ratatoskr have searched for and gathered numerous exceptionally talented individuals to form a spirit-conquering support team.
Outstanding talents? Spirit support team?
Hearing this, memories of the outstanding talents' miraculous operations from the original story flashed through my mind.
The second-hand embarrassment was enough to make me want to dig a hole and hide. If I'm not mistaken, they should be.
Simultaneously, upon hearing my question, Kotori Itsuka performed a perfect kip-up, leaping directly from her chair, and couldn't help but start introducing the members of Ratatoskr. Since you're so curious, let me take this opportunity to properly introduce my excellent staff to you. Married 4 times, divorced 4 times, a super love master with 4 marriages under his belt, capable of instantly entering the burnout phase, bad marriage, Kawagoe.
Are you sure this is a love master and not a scumbag?
However, Kotori Itsuka continued her enthusiastic introduction. Extremely popular with Filipino women, undefeated in all nightclub battles against men, and takes pride in this, Mikimoto.
Isn't that just a nightclub Romeo?
Love rivals meet with misfortune one after another, the 2 a.m. woman, nail knocker Shiozaki.
Holy crap, this one is probably more scary than Sadako. A man with 100 waifus, the dimension breaker, Nakatsugawa. Say what you will, this is probably the fantasy of every 2D otaku. Quite similar to that useless Niti, Nia.
Because she loved too deeply, she's now legally restricted from coming within a 500-meter radius of her beloved, the woman under protective observation, deep love, Hinako.
Good grief, this should be considered a yandere, right? Click.
Just as Kotori Itsuka was excitedly continuing her introductions, she suddenly heard the sound of the phone disconnecting.
What's going on?
Hearing the disconnect tone, Kotori thought something urgent had happened on my end and quickly redialed. However, she only heard a crisp, official recording.
Hello, the user you have dialed has powered off. Please try again later. Sorry. Crash. Understanding the reason for the disconnection, the tightly wound string in Kotori Itsuka's mind instantly snapped.
She could no longer suppress her anger. With all her strength, she smashed the phone in her hand and cursed loudly.
That bastard actually hung up on me again. Damn hentai, pervert, lolicon. Go to hell.
After saying that, still not satisfied, she even stomped fiercely on the shattered phone a few times.
Commander.
Rain Morrisame, standing beside her, was about to speak. But Kotori Itsuka's red eyes glared back, and she asked indignantly.
What were you going to say, Rain?
That lolicon was actually nicer to Rain than to her, which made her a little jealous. Seeing the hostile, enraged Kotori Itsuka before her, Rain pointed weakly at the shattered phone beneath Kotori's foot. Kotori, the phone you smashed, was mine. The scene shifted. At Raisin High School, putting my phone back in my pocket, I let out a long sigh.
Those outstanding talents gathered by Ratatoskr were all weirdos.
If the protagonist in the original story hadn't been immortal, he would have died long ago.
It was better to proceed one step at a time.
I took a light step, and in a single breath, I had already appeared at the entrance of a classroom dilapidated by the spacequake. Gazing through the large crack in the classroom door, I had a clear view of the situation inside. In this relatively intact classroom, the spirit girl, clad in purple armor-like astral dress with long black hair, sat on one of the desks, blinking her crystal-like eyes. A hint of curious vigilance in her gaze made her look incredibly adorable. Creak. Without much thought, I directly pushed open the door and entered the classroom. Simultaneously, hearing the commotion, Princess immediately turned her head. When her gaze landed on the familiar figure at the classroom entrance, Princess instantly bristled. "It's you!" After exclaiming, Princess quickly stood up, leaping from the desk to stand before me, staring fiercely at me and extending her hand. "Human! Quickly return my Sandalphon!" Hearing this, I pondered for a moment, then decided to return Sandalphon to her. Seeing Princess happily retrieve her angel, I couldn't help but speak. "Princess, I've returned your angel. Shouldn't you tell me your name now? I can't just keep calling you Princess." "And name? What's that?" Princess, who had just a moment ago been wearing a fierce expression, froze upon hearing my words, then looked adorably confused. "A name is like a permanent code for a person. My name is Hibari Kyoya." Facing this adorably foolish princess, I offered a simple and clear explanation. "Hibari Kyoya?" Princess couldn't help but softly repeat my name. However, as if remembering some past sorrow, Princess's head drooped, and the purple light that had been radiating from her beautiful eyes now dimmed. "Name? But I don't have a name." "No name?" Hearing this, I pretended to think for a moment, then grinned. "In that case, I'll think of a fitting name for you. How about that?" Suddenly hearing that I was going to give her a name, Princess curiously lifted her head, blinking her bright, large eyes. "What name?" However, I didn't answer, instead taking Princess's delicate hand and leading her to the blackboard at the front of the classroom. Suddenly being held by a human, even though Princess knew this wasn't appropriate behavior for a spirit, she didn't refuse. "If this human gives me a name I don't like, I'll just chop him up with Sandalphon later." I held Princess's right hand, picked up a piece of chalk with a standard grip, and, just like a parent teaching their child how to write, crookedly wrote 2 characters on the blackboard. "What is this? What did you make me draw? Don't tell me it's a strange magic circle designed to deal with us spirits. How despicable. Why, you actually made me draw a magic circle to kill spirits." At this moment, Princess's mind was filled with strange thoughts. In the end, her pretty face turned deathly pale, her eyes warily fixed on the 2 characters on the blackboard. Chapter 184, Abducting Toka, the Black-Bellied Rain. Looking at Princess beside me, now adopting a defensive stance as if facing a formidable enemy, I had to suppress my laughter. This gluttonous princess was truly the purest and most innocent spirit in the day-to-day live world, utterly clueless and adorable. Then, I smiled, pointing at the 2 characters on the blackboard. "This isn't a magic circle to kill spirits, this is the name I came up with for you, Toka." "Toka? Toka." Hearing my explanation, Princess stared at the characters she had just written, continuously repeating these 2 words. The next moment, a blissful smile spread across Toka's face. Simultaneously, a strange feeling surged in her heart, as if she wanted to permanently etch it into her mind. "I have a name. I have a name." Looking at Toka smiling foolishly like a child who had just received a prize, I couldn't help but feel my heart ache for this adorable girl. Since her birth, she had been all alone in the neighboring world. And the moment she appeared, she was hunted down by the AST. To maintain such innocence despite all that, how difficult had it been? Just as I was sighing with emotion, Toka, standing beside me, suddenly turned around, her eyes sparkling even brighter. "Hey, Kyoya, I really like this name." "Thank you." Seeing Toka's heartfelt smile, the corners of my mouth couldn't help but curve into a slight smile as well. "By the way, Toka, did you like that box of snacks I gave you last time?" "Snacks?" Reminded by me, Toka once again recalled the box of food she had devoured in the neighboring world, even licking the packaging clean. Thinking about it, saliva unconsciously trickled from the corner of her mouth. Noticing the I see through you expression on my face, Toka quickly wiped her saliva, looking at me with wary eyes and questioning. "I'm not interested in that kind of food at all. You must have been sent by humans, trying to poison me through the food. I advise you to give up." I won't fall for such a trick. Hearing this, I reached out and gently pinched this duplicitous gluttonous spirit's cheek, smiling and shaking my head. I already said, I have no grudge against you. Why would I poison you? Woo. Then why are you approaching me? Toka pouted, asking the question hidden in her heart with a curious expression. The reason I'm approaching you is because Toka is cute and adorable, and I want to keep you by my side always. Towards this pure and innocent spirit girl, I frankly expressed my feelings. My undisguised praise instantly made Toka's cheeks turn slightly red. See, cute? Do you really think I'm cute? Seeing Toka's slightly shy expression, I truly hadn't expected a simple compliment to elicit such a strong reaction. Only then did I understand that Toka, at this moment, was just an innocent spirit girl, inexperienced in the ways of the world. She had likely never heard such flirtatious words. However, what I said was the truth. Toka really was incredibly adorable. I nodded affirmatively. It's true. Really? Toka asked again. Really? It's really? I replied helplessly. Human, you're the first person to acknowledge me. I'll overlook you stealing my angel. However, don't think I've forgiven you. I'm just using you to obtain information about humans. Then Toka puffed up her cheeks, speaking with a tsundere tone. Hearing this, I couldn't help but chuckle. This adorable princess had quite the imagination. But then again, Toka having such a personality makes me quite happy. Alright, you're right about everything. Since you've forgiven me, I'll give you this as an apology. Toka stared at the kanako bread in my hand, saliva unconsciously flowing from the corner of her mouth. Seeing Toka drooling, her desire to eat practically written all over her face, I smiled and handed the bread to her. Seeing this, Toka accepted it without hesitation and then ate the kanako bread with a blissful expression. Suddenly, I sensed something. Looking through a broken wall of the classroom. In the distant sky, several white specks of light were rapidly approaching. It was the AST. And leading the charge was actually Origami Tabichi. Looking at the rapidly approaching Origami, my eyes flickered. I'll have to resolve the matter of resurrecting Origami's parents as soon as possible, otherwise, the hatred in her heart will only grow deeper. Simultaneously, Toka also seemed to sense something amiss. She put down the food in her hand and looked up, a flash of displeasure in her deep purple eyes. It's them again. Disturbing my meal. So annoying. Toka, looks like someone wants to interrupt our date. Let's get out of here. Saying this, I took Toka's hand. Without giving her a chance to react, I shifted our location. Not long after, AST Captain Kyuzuke Ryoko led her team to the skies above Raisin High School, but they had lost Princess's Ryuryoko signature. After searching and finding no trace of Princess, she had no choice but to order a retreat. Origami Tabichi, on the other hand, had a calm expression, her thoughts unknown. On the other side. Aboard Fraxinus, when Kotori Atsuka looked at the restored surveillance display screen, she was instantly bewildered. What's going on? Where's Kyoya? Where's Princess? How could two people just suddenly disappear? The screen only showed the ruins of Raisin High School. As for the AST members, myself, and even their main target, Princess, there wasn't a single trace. To this, Rain Murasame beside her glanced at the screen, then looked down at her own pile of shattered phone on the ground, and said resentfully, "No idea." Even though she was the first spirit, Rain Murasame was also unaware of everything happening outside. Even if Rain knew now, she wouldn't tell Kotori. The reason was simple, her phone had been destroyed by Kotori. Seeing the clueless Rain, Kotori Atsuka held no hope for her and could only hurriedly command her subordinates. Use every surveillance camera in Tengu City. Keep searching. Even if you can't find Princess, you must find that bastard Hibari Kyoya. Chapter 185, Conquering and Sealing Princess Toka. On the other side,
I had already brought Toka back home.
However, upon seeing the beer cans and snack bags scattered across the table, my smile instantly froze.
Nia. This is definitely the handiwork of that useless spirit again. Hey Toka, that astral dress of yours is too conspicuous. How about changing into this?
As I spoke, I took out my phone from my pocket. It was the full-body photo of Shirori I had taken earlier. The screen also displayed her in her school uniform. Otherwise, you'll definitely attract the attention of those mecha girls from the AST again. Hearing about those troublesome AST members, Toka's brow furrowed slightly. Then, her eyes widened as she observed the girl's attire in my phone.
Toka nodded.
Although she felt this outfit wasn't as beautiful as her astral dress, to avoid trouble, she still obediently changed.
The next second, the armored astral dress on her body suddenly flickered with a deep purple light.
After the light dissipated, I looked Toka up and down, now wearing the Raisin High School girl's uniform, and praised her.
As expected of Toka. No matter what clothes you wear, you're always so cute and beautiful.
Hearing my words, Toka's face instantly flushed a shade of red.
For some reason, Nia Hanju, who usually lazed around at home, wasn't there today.
At this moment, only Toka and I were home. Afterward, to pass the time, I opened the refrigerator, took out a table full of snacks, and started feasting with Toka.
Just then, the phone in my hand suddenly vibrated.
Seeing the unfamiliar phone number, I curiously answered the call. As soon as I answered, a deafening voice blasted my eardrums, making me quickly move the phone away from my ear.
Kyoya.
Where the hell did you go?
Why did you suddenly turn off your phone?
Hearing Kotori's enraged roar from the other end, I looked at my phone helplessly.
Oh, it's Kotori-chan. I was wondering who it was. I'm at home right now. What do you need? You're home? Yeah. Damn it. Then where's Princess? Why did she suddenly disappear? Did she return to the neighboring world?
Hearing this, I looked up at Toka, who was in front of the TV, furiously devouring food.
She's with me. Huh? Kotori Atsuka on the other end of the line was instantly bewildered. Don't tell me. Princess is at our house? Yeah, is there a problem? Towards my perfectly reasonable tone, Kotori Atsuka could only sigh deeply. Never mind. Just try to appease Princess as much as possible.
Don't let her lose control of her emotions and cause destruction again.
We'll be right back.
Saying this, Kotori hung up the phone.
Hearing the beep 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 from the phone, I couldn't help but shake my head.
Glancing at Toka, who had finished a table full of snacks and was now sitting contentedly on the sofa, rubbing her half-full stomach, I picked up a napkin, reached out, and wiped the crumbs and oil stains from her mouth.
Toka, I'll introduce you to a few friends later. You need to control your Ryuryoko properly, okay? Don't scare them. MMPH I know.
Toka obediently nodded her head, listening to my words very seriously.
Just a few minutes later, the sound of a door opening echoed. I followed the sound and looked. Kotori-chan and Rain-chan are back.
Kotori Atsuka, dressed as a commander, and Rain Morrisame, wearing her perpetually unchanged work uniform with a worn-out little panda doll in her chest pocket, had arrived in the living room. However, seeing Toka's wary expression, I took her hand and comforted her with a smile.
Don't be nervous. This is Kotori Atsuka, and the other one is Rain Morrisame. You can just call them by their names. Oh hello, my name is Toka. Yatagami Toka. Not the princess you speak of.
The well-behaved Toka tightly hugged my arm, nodded her head, and simply greeted the two of them.
Toka? That's a very nice name. Toka's self-introduction caught Rain Morrisame's attention.
Simultaneously, Rain looked at me, a strange light flickering in her eyes.
This guy. Just 2 encounters, and he already successfully conquered Princess? Yep. It's the name Kyoya gave me. What do you think? Isn't it a wonderful name? Looks like the name Kyoya gave me really is good. Being praised for her name made Toka quite happy.
After all, her disposition was no different from a child's, she needed praise and recognition. Glancing at Toka, who was hugging my arm with a beaming smile, Kotori Atsuka felt a faint pang of jealousy. She pointed at the food scraps on the dining table. "So, I told you to conquer the spirit, and you brought her home to eat instead? Is there a problem?" I was a bit puzzled by this. "Of course, there's something wrong. You jerk." Kotori glared at me fiercely. "I told you to go on a date with her, not bring her to your home for dinner. I even assembled Ratataskra's finest to help you, and you just ignored us. What's the meaning of this?" Ignoring the fuming Kotori, my gaze fell on Toka. "Toka, you also want to integrate into human society and experience the joys and novelties of human interaction, right?" She nodded without hesitation. However, the next moment, the joy on Toka's face vanished, replaced by a deep sense of loss. "But I'm a spirit. I can't live in your human world. Perhaps in a little while, I'll have to disappear and return to that place where there's nothing." "So?" Hearing this, I ruffled Toka's small head. "In that case, let's make a pact." With that, I wrapped my arm around Toka's waist and kissed her delicate red lips. Seeing this, Toka's eyes closed slightly, her tender little face turning a shade of crimson. When they separated this time, she found that her connection to the desolate space where she had previously existed had been severed. Not only that, using the power of the Sunniaster, I simultaneously added a layer of protection for Toka and the other girls. Of course, I also erased any improper thoughts other men might have towards them. "Toka, from now on, you don't have to worry about your spirit identity anymore. You can live a carefree life with me. Besides, you're not the only spirit by my side, you know." As I spoke, I gave Kotori Atsuka and Rain Morrisame, who was beside her, a meaningful look. Chapter 186, Nia, almost played to death. Noticing my playful gaze, Kotori Atsuka pouted internally. However, Kotori didn't notice the subtle look I gave Rain. But Rain Morrisame felt it clearly. Although she was glad that during the half-month she had spent with me, I hadn't revealed her identity to Kotori. But, she was still very flustered at this moment. "Really?" Toka looked at me curiously, a hint of jealousy creeping into her heart upon hearing that there were other spirits at my house. Of course, more than that, she was curious. She looked at Kotori Atsuka and Rain Morrisame, wanting to know which one was her companion. "Hey Kyoya, you said there are other spirits by your side. Is it Kotori? Or Rain?" Toka's beautiful purple eyes showed a puzzled look as she scanned Kotori and Rain up and down, as if trying to see through their spirit identities. Being scrutinized by Toka. Kotori and Rain felt awkward. At this moment, both had their own little schemes in mind, their eyes darting around, not daring to meet Toka's gaze, afraid of their identities being exposed. Coincidentally, just as I was about to speak, Nia Hanju's voice came from outside the door. "Kyoya. It's already noon. Haven't you made us any food yet?" Following the voice, two girls walked in from the entrance hallway. One was Shirori Atsuka, dressed identically to Toka in a Raisin High School girl's uniform, with long blue hair and light brown eyes. The other was Nia Hanju. As soon as the two girls walked into the living room, they immediately noticed Toka, who was unfamiliar to them, besides myself, Rain Morrisame, and Kotori Atsuka, whom they recognized. Seeing the unfamiliar girl, Nia, as if having discovered something interesting, revealed a wide, knowing smile. "Kyoya, Kotori, and the others told you to find a spirit, yet you brought back a girl. Could it be she's your girlfriend? Wow Kyoya, you're so bold. Are you stupid?" Before I could speak, Kotori Atsuka, standing to the side, shot this airhead otaku spirit a dissatisfied look. "Can't you see she's one of your kind, you dummy?" "My kind?" Nia's eyes instantly lit up, her gaze fixed on Toka beside me. She pushed up her glasses, her face filled with confusion. "You're also a spirit? Who are they?" Toka didn't answer Nia's question. Instead, upon seeing Nia Hanju and Shirori Atsuka, a sense of jealousy and crisis arose in her heart. "This is Kotori-chan's older sister, Shirori Atsuka." Patting Toka's head, I then pointed towards Nia Hanju and said, as for her, she's the one I mentioned earlier, Nia Hanju, a spirit just like you.
She's also a spirit?
Toka looked back at Nia Hanju, carefully observing her for a long time, before finally speaking.
But she looks so weak. She doesn't look like a spirit at all.
Being questioned by Toka about her spirit identity, Nia Hanju was instantly hit hard.
Hey, spirit girl. What's with that look? I'm just not good at fighting. That doesn't mean I'm not a spirit.
I shot Nia a look and said, my lips curving into a slight smirk.
Toka, Nia really is a spirit. Just a powerless, useless one. Hearing my complaint, Nia Hanju instantly petrified on the spot. Whoa, Kyoya, please don't say it out loud. Don't you know you'll hurt my heart by saying that?
Saying this, Nia directly buried herself in Shiori's embrace and wept, trying to get some comfort.
Watching Nia's dramatic act, everyone's mouths twitched, speechless. Snap.
Suddenly, as if remembering something, I snapped my fingers lightly at Nia, who was pretending to cry. Look at you, becoming such a shut-in lately. I'm confiscating your phone for the time being. Hearing my voice, Nia looked up and saw the phone I had originally given her was now in my hand. Panicked, Nia Hanju immediately rushed over to me, hugging my arm and starting to cry shamelessly.
Wa Kyoya, please give my phone back. I was wrong. I won't make you angry again.
My manga, my novels, my games.
I can't live without my phone. Wa-ada.
Feeling a pair of A-cups rubbing against my arm, I glanced at Nia Hanju, feigning sympathy.
Ah, you poor thing. You really want your phone back? MHM. Hearing this, Nia's eyes lit up.
She felt there was a 90% chance she'd get her phone back and nodded excitedly. However, my next words, spoken with a smile, instantly crushed her hopes.
Dream on. In your dreams, you can have anything.
Teased by me and rejected again, Nia could no longer withstand the blow and burst into tears.
Wa-ada.
Ignoring the over-the-top Nia, I turned my gaze toward the naturally airhead beauty, Rain Murasame. The next moment, without any hesitation, I pushed Toka in front of Rain.
Toka, I'm going to make lunch now. If you don't understand anything during this time, you can ask Rain. Of course, Kotori-chan and Shirori are fine too. But don't ask Nia.
She may look harmless, but she's a very evil spirit who's skilled at deceiving innocent girls, then killing countless spirits with cruel methods.
Kotori. Shirori. Rain. Hearing my slander against Nia, Kotori and Shirori were speechless. However, Rain Murasame didn't think so.
Her gaze towards me flickered with helplessness and strangeness. Even though Rain didn't speak, she deeply cared about my words describing Nia. I highly suspect you're insulting me indirectly, but I have no proof. As for Nia Hanju, she was completely bewildered by my words.
Me deceiving innocent girls? Using cruel methods to kill countless spirits, the most evil spirit?
Since obtaining a Sapphira crystal and becoming a spirit, she had always been cautious.
Forget about killing humans or spirits, she hadn't even killed a small animal. However, the innocent and naive Toka completely believed my words, turning pale with fright.
Then, based on instinct, she summoned her angel, Sandalphon, pointed it directly at Nia Hanju, and said with a serious expression.
Kyoya, should I just eliminate her? Wait.
Nia Hanju, being pointed at by Toka with her angel, was instantly dumbfounded. She felt completely flustered and hurriedly tried to defend herself.
Girl, don't believe Kyoya's words. I'm just a combat rookie. I've never killed anyone, let alone a spirit. So quickly put away that scary weapon of yours. Humph. Kyoya just said you're a liar. I won't be tricked by you.
Hearing Toka not believing her, Nia could only look at me with pleading eyes, begging for help.
Witnessing this scene, I couldn't bear to bully the stupid spirit anymore. Alright, Toka, put away your angel.
I was just kidding earlier. You two get to know each other and chat for a bit.
I'm going to make food.
Saying this, ignoring Nia's resentful little gaze, I walked straight into the kitchen. A few minutes later, cheers of girls echoed from the living room. Toka, Shirori, and Nia, the four girls, were getting along very harmoniously. After I finished making lunch, I specially prepared a half-table full of luxurious feast just for Toka. As for myself and the other four girls including Kotori, we ate the other half of the lunch. After all, to welcome Toka, she deserved to enjoy a feast. Besides, Toka really could eat a lot. Chapter 187, The Nun's Ultimate Temptation, A Date with Toka. After clearing the table and leaving the kitchen, I refocused my attention on Nia. Nia, although you're an adult, you should still mind your surroundings. Don't drink so much. Hick, got it. You're such a nag, Kyoya. Despite verbally agreeing, Nia Hanju continued to chug her drink. Seeing this, I completely gave up on persuading this alcoholic, deciding not to waste any more time on her. Over the past half-month of living together, Kotori and I had both tried to persuade her, but there was still no sign of improvement. This useless spirit was a lost cause. Afternoon, Tengdu City. A vibrant young couple walked along the commercial street, one in front of the other. They were, of course, Toka and I. Because Toka had moved in, Kotori had suggested that Toka and I go out today to buy some daily necessities. Simultaneously, this was a chance to have a date with Toka. But speaking of which, even as a spirit, is it a woman's nature to never get tired of shopping? I looked at Toka, who was happily skipping ahead, and then at the numerous bags in my own hands, and couldn't help but smile wryly and shake my head. Toka trotted along, observing her surroundings. Wow, so this is human life? I'd never seen anything like it. Experiencing human life for the first time, Toka looked incredibly happy at this moment, curious about everything. Suddenly, a colorful butterfly gently landed on the tip of her nose. Toka, full of curiosity about everything, looked at the beautiful butterfly, an irresistible urge to catch it welling up inside her. Then, she slowly raised her hands and suddenly clapped them together over the butterfly. Immediately, with a smack, her hands heavily struck her own nose. The butterfly had long since flown away, leaving only Toka clutching her now red nose, tears welling up in her pain-filled eyes. Why, that hurts. Seeing this, I couldn't help but chuckle, a slight smile curving my lips. Oh dear. Our Princess Toka couldn't catch a butterfly, and even hit her own nose, so painful that she's crying. Woo Kyoya, you meanie. Don't laugh at me. Toka gritted her teeth, glaring at me. After she stamped her foot in frustration, the next moment, the ground directly caved in, cracks spreading outwards. Irk. Toka, calm down. Seeing Toka's violent display, my face twitched. I had only severed Toka's connection to the neighboring world and applied a protective spell to prevent harm to innocent humans. But I hadn't sealed her power. Fortunately, due to the spacequake earlier this morning, there weren't many people around. Otherwise, she would definitely have been mistaken for a monster. Kyoya, you meanie. I'll bite you to death. Toka completely ignored my attempts to calm her down. Immediately, she pounced like a hungry tiger. I was directly tackled to the ground, and a unique girlish fragrance instantly assailed my nostrils. Before I could revel in it, Toka mercilessly bit down hard on my neck. Ow. Toka, let go. I know I was wrong. With my physique, a girl's bite wouldn't cause any harm at all, but I still played along, letting out a pained cry. She doesn't even know she's being taken advantage of. Sure enough, upon hearing my pleas for mercy, Toka immediately and proudly climbed off me. Humph. Bad Kyoya. Do you still laugh at me now? As the girlish fragrance faded, I still felt a bit nostalgic, but I pretended to be scared. Never again. Never again. Toka is the strongest. Hearing my defeated plea, Toka's mood improved. But how are you going to make it up to me? This is easy. It was well known that Toka was a glutton. As long as you fed her, all problems could be solved. If one meal wasn't enough, then two. I'll take you to eat Kanako bread and ice cream. Kanako bread. Really?
Take me there quickly. The gluttonous Toka's mouth was practically watering. She urgently prompted me to take her to eat kanako bread. Not long after, the two of us arrived at a bakery. Sir, give me 50. No, 100 kanako bread rolls, please. After thinking for a moment, I conservatively decided to buy 100. After all, Toka had quite the appetite. However, hearing me buy so many kanako breads, the bakery owner was stunned. Young man, 100. 100 breads? Can you two finish them all? Don't worry, sir. We have big appetites. We can finish them, I said, then glanced at Toka, who was staring at the kanako bread with longing eyes, practically drooling. As I spoke, I glanced at Toka, who was staring at the kanako bread with eyes full of longing, practically drooling. All right then. Here are your 100 kanako breads. Needless to say, the boss worked quickly, and the 100 breads were packed up in no time. After paying, under the astonished gaze of the boss, I directly stored the bread in my system space and left with Toka. Along the way, I also bought a large tub of ice cream. On the way home, as soon as Toka finished one bread, I would take another one out from the system space and hand it to her. However, in just a short 10-odd minutes. I checked my system space. There wasn't a single bread roll left. I stared at Toka, dumbfounded. Toka also noticed me looking at her and immediately blinked her clear, large eyes, puzzled. What's wrong, Kyoya? It's nothing. You have crumbs on your mouth. Let me wipe them for you. I looked helpless, took out a tissue, and helped Toka wipe her mouth clean. Looks like I still underestimated Toka. Next time, I'll have to buy at least 1,000. Kyoya, this thing called ice is so delicious. Try it. After taking a big bite of ice cream, Toka's face was beaming with a sweet smile. She even offered the ice cream she had eaten to me. I smiled and took a bite. Not bad. So sweet. Just like Toka's lips. To thank the gluttonous princess for her generosity, I even lightly pecked her red lips. Toka's face instantly turned beet red. She quickly pulled away, her heart pounding violently. Woo! Suddenly. Dummy Kyoya. The shy Toka ran towards home like a flash. Not bad. They really are sweet. I chuckled softly, watching her go, then headed home as well. As soon as I returned home, Nia clung to me, begging for her phone back. However, I completely ignored Nia's request and continued to play 5-player ranked games with Toka, Kotori, Rain, and Shirori. Nia had previously asked Shirori and the other girls for their phones, just to play games and read manga. However, I had anticipated this long ago and had specifically set up a spell formation, so even if she borrowed a phone, she could only make calls, she couldn't do anything else. Kyoya, don't ignore me. As long as you give me back my phone to play with, I can kiss you too. Please, please. Towards Nia's atrocious conditions, I directly ignored her. I wouldn't be moved by this. Perhaps, there might be even better conditions. Seeing her temptation not working, Nia Hanju's face fell. Damn it! Kyoya. You forced me to do this. Astral Dress Second Form. Chapter 188, Is Toka Not So Dumb After All? The two girls vying for favor. Immediately, the angered Nia Hanju stood before me. With a soft cry, she changed into her astral dress. Hearing this sound, everyone's gazes, including mine, fell upon Nia Hanju. Nia now wore a translucent, ink-like nun's habit, adorned with a pen on her veil and a crucifix. More importantly, this astral dress was semi-transparent, clearly revealing most of her snow-white skin and sexy black panties. This incredibly alluring scene instantly made my blood rush. Noticing the change in my eyes, Nia revealed a smug grin. Placing one foot lightly on my body, she lifted the slit of her translucent nun's habit, a meaningful smile on her face. Kyoya, want to go further? Want to have the perfect me? If so, then return my phone. However, before I could respond, several sharp shouts came from beside me. I won't let you have Kyoya. Nia. You idiot. What are you doing? Toka tightly hugged my arm, glaring at Nia Hanju.
Kotori Atsuka bit through the lollipop in her mouth, her face, for some reason, flushed slightly pink. Shirori Atsuka, having never witnessed such a stimulating scene, was utterly flustered, unable to look directly. Only Rain Morrisame, the airhead beauty, maintained her usual indifferent expression. And as I let out a gulp, the atmosphere became strangely tense. All the girls gave me odd, disdainful looks. You pervert, with a brain full of H. Kotori Atsuka directly and unceremoniously berated me. Hearing her words, I couldn't help but feel embarrassed. Kotori's a bit too worked up. Kotori-chan, why are you so angry? I've heard that people who are always angry don't grow well. What? Is that true? Hearing this, Kotori Atsuka was first shocked, then realizing I was just teasing her, she immediately retorted with a flushed face. You big hentai. Go to hell. Swish. Kotori's flying kick landed squarely on my face. Wah! Kyoya. Don't die. Toka, Kyoya just fainted. He's not dead. Kyoya, wake up quickly. Tell me where my phone is. Seeing me collapse, the girls all panicked. At Raisin High School, in class 2 to 4, as Shirori and I stepped into the classroom, we immediately heard animated discussion. Hey, did you hear? We have another transfer student joining our class. Of course. I just came from the faculty office. I saw 2 beautiful girls myself. Hearing the noisy chatter, Shirori turned her head and looked at me, lost in thought. Kyoya, what's wrong? I'm just curious about who else is transferring to our class besides Toka, I replied. Hearing this, Shirori also suddenly remembered that Toka was transferring to their class today. Just then, Ms. Okamine walked into the classroom, and the once chaotic room instantly fell silent. The students all sat properly in their seats. However, when I caught sight of Rain Morrisame beside Ms. Okamine, realization dawned on me. Seems like it's the same as the original plot. Rain has transferred to the school to become a teacher too. But... Class, this is our school's new teacher, and also your assistant homeroom teacher, Rain Morrisame. You can address her as Ms. Morrisame. After a slight pause, Ms. Okamine looked towards Rain Morrisame beside her and reminded everyone. Ms. Morrisame, please introduce yourself as well. Reminded by Ms. Okamine, Rain Morrisame, with dark circles under her eyes, looked at the students below and introduced herself. Hello everyone, I'm your new physics teacher, Rain Morrisame. Also. Thud. However, before she could finish, Rain Morrisame swayed and collapsed directly onto the ground. The students, who had been listening to Rain's self-introduction, instantly stared, dumbfounded, upon seeing her fall straight to the ground. What's going on? Why did she suddenly faint? Although this teacher's figure and appearance are quite good, with such huge dark circles and a sleepy demeanor. Is she really a teacher? Ms. Morrisame, are you alright? Seeing her new colleague suddenly collapse, Ms. Okamine quickly squatted down and helped Rain up. However, Rain immediately got up by herself. Then, she looked at the students below with a dazed expression, seemingly not at all embarrassed by her sudden collapse. She continued to speak in a naturally airhead manner. That's all for my introduction. Please take care of me from now on. After saying this, when Rain bowed once more, she knocked her head directly on the podium. The students sitting below, witnessing this absurd scene, were utterly speechless. I exchanged glances with Shirori. I shook my head with an embarrassed smile. As expected, this airhead Rain is still unreliable. Ms. Okamine was also a bit flustered by her new colleague, Rain Morrisame, and could only awkwardly change the subject. Then, let us welcome our new transfer student, Yatagami Toka. As MS. Okamine's voice fell. Toka, dressed in the Raisin High School girl's uniform, walked in from the classroom entrance. Snap. The moment Origami Tabichi, sitting behind me, saw Toka, the pen in her hand was snapped in half.
Her deep blue eyes stared coldly at Toka. Clearly, she had already recognized Toka as princess. Immediately, Toka walked up to the podium and said, "My name is Yatagami Toka. I'm currently living with Kyoya. I like the food Kyoya makes. Please take care of me." Her words instantly ignited the gossip flames. Yatagami-san is living with Hibari-kun too? Doesn't that mean he's already snatched away the aloof, top student Origami-san, and he's still messing around with Shiori-san. Wow! What a player! The mournful cries of numerous male students echoed throughout the classroom. After the commotion subsided, Toka skipped over and sat down next to me. The boys in the classroom, seeing me surrounded by Origami, Shiori, and Toka, were green with envy. Seriously. Not a single drop of soup left for them. Several classes quickly passed by. I spent most of it sleeping. Although the boys in class were envious that Toka could live with me, the girls, on the other hand, adored this pure and adorable loli. During lunch break, they all took out their snacks and competed to feed Toka. In just a moment, Toka's arms were filled with food. Kyoya! Everyone is so kind. They gave me so many snacks. You should try some too. With that, she stuffed them all into my hands. Just as I was about to open one of the snacks. Here. Suddenly, a small hand came over and stuffed something into my mouth. Looking up, I saw Origami Tabichi, one hand holding a lunchbox, the other still continuously feeding me. Kyoya-kun, those snacks are bad for you. They definitely don't taste good. You should try the tempura I made myself. Hearing this, Toka immediately hugged my arm, as if protecting her personal belongings, glaring at Origami Tabichi. You stupid robot! Who says Kyoya doesn't like my snacks? You've definitely poisoned that food. Kyoya won't eat it. Go away! Noticing Toka's intimate action of hugging my arm, Origami Tabichi pulled out her phone and threatened, "Spirit, if you don't want to die, stay away from Kyoya-kun. Or I'll inform the AST and they'll eliminate you." I'm not afraid of you. Besides, Kyoya has promised to protect me. If you or your companions hurt me, you'll be making Kyoya angry. Hearing Toka's flawless retort, I was instantly dumbfounded. Is this truly the same Toka from the original story, who was easily tricked by Origami's intelligence and manipulation, whose IQ was questionable? Why has she suddenly become so clever and even knows how to use my name for her own benefit? On the other hand, Origami, after hearing Toka's threat and glancing at me, could only put away her phone with annoyance. Just as Toka said, she truly didn't want to make me angry. But that didn't mean she was going to back down from Toka. The next moment, she simply sat down on my lap, continuing to personally pick food for me, and shot Toka a smug, provocative look. As expected. Seeing Origami Tabichi in a more intimate position with me, Toka instantly became agitated. Immediately, Origami and Toka began a silent battle, neither willing to give in. And this eye-catching scene had all the boys nearby, watching the show during their lunch break, completely stunned. They were all filled with envy, jealousy, and hatred. This is the life of a true winner. Even the food in their mouths had lost all flavor. Chapter 189, Yoshino, the Lowly Spirit. 2 weeks had passed since the spacequake caused by Toka in Tengu City. During these 2 weeks, to help Toka integrate better, I would take her out on dates and to play on weekends. However, my preferential treatment of Toka had caused Nia to sigh in exasperation and complain repeatedly. Not only had her phone been confiscated, but her status in the household had also dropped. It was utterly unfair. After 2 weeks of human life, Toka had fallen in love with her current life. Coupled with her naturally airhead and adorable personality, she was very likable. Therefore, she also made many friends at school. However, as Toka's nemesis in the original story, Origami Tabichi naturally couldn't coexist peacefully with Toka. Daily bickering and arguments were inevitable. Unsurprisingly, every argument ended with Toka's miserable defeat. I had thought Toka's intelligence had improved, but it seems she's still the same adorable airhead. Fortunately, Origami and Toka only bickered and didn't resort to any excessive actions. Otherwise, I'd have a real headache. Coming out of the supermarket, I looked up. The sky was already covered with dark clouds, and a continuous drizzle was falling. Holding a conjured umbrella, I strolled through the drizzling rain. I liked rainy weather, it brought me an inexplicable sense of comfort. As I passed a crossroads, I slowed my steps, my gaze stopping before a certain building. It was a shrine that seemed to have some history. However, I naturally wouldn't stop just for a shrine. It was because, inside the shrine, there was a little loli who had particularly caught my attention. She wore a large green cloak adorned with rabbit ears, the hood completely covering her head. Long blue hair cascaded down from both sides of her shoulders. The blue-haired girl, as beautiful as a French doll, had a dreamlike appearance and a petite figure, looking close in age to Kotori Itsuka. She also wore a comical-looking rabbit hand puppet on her left hand. At this moment, she was happily hopping around in the rain by herself, splashing in puddles. "I've finally found you, the number one Mo character among the spirits of this world, the fourth spirit, Hermit Yoshino." I revealed a gratified smile. Suddenly, another familiar spirit aura appeared nearby. With a thought, I immediately knew the identity of the spirit in the shadows. It's Kurumi. Last time, when I was conquering Toka, I had sensed a spirit nearby but didn't pay much attention at the time. Now it seemed, every time a spirit descended, she would rush to the vicinity immediately. Looks like she's after Nia. No. More accurately, she's after Nia's angel, Raziel. In just a few seconds, Kurumi's aura vanished, and she left. I quietly watched Yoshino happily splashing in the rain inside the shrine. Every time Yoshino's face revealed that sweet smile, I couldn't help but reveal a healed smile myself. Splat! The next moment, Yoshino's small foot slipped, and she was about to fall face-first onto the ground. Simultaneously, the rabbit hand puppet on her left hand also came off due to inertia and flew forward. Seeing this accident, my expression changed slightly. I flashed to her side, gently embracing Yoshino and catching the puppet, Yashinon. "Yoshino, are you alright?" Hearing my words, Yoshino was first stunned. Upon seeing me holding her, she frantically struggled out of my embrace like a frightened animal and quickly pulled away. Immediately, I realized that when Yoshino first appeared, she was timid and shy, almost afraid to speak directly to people. Please don't come near me." Yoshino's expression was extremely timid as she continued to retreat, her voice trembling as she pleaded. "Please, don't hurt me." Seeing Yoshino trembling slightly out of fear, I knew this was likely due to the constant attacks from the AST. Looks like Yoshino has been hurt quite a bit before. Thinking of this, I slowly walked towards Yoshino. Seeing this, Yoshino, out of fear, could only retreat continuously until she had no more room to retreat, bumping into the shrine's wall. And watching me approach step by step, Yoshino closed her eyes in despair and terror. But the pain from her past didn't appear as she imagined. Instead, she felt a familiar sensation in her hand. Then, a warm, large hand gently patted her head through her hood. The incessant rain also stopped at this moment. The dark clouds dispersed, and a ray of sunset appeared. "Yoshino, don't be afraid. No one here will hurt you." Hearing my gentle words, Yoshino cautiously opened one eye, then slowly opened both bright, large eyes. This big brother, although a stranger, was different from other humans. She didn't feel any dislike towards him. Moreover, the feeling of being patted on the head by him was comfortable. Just as Yoshino was curiously observing me, the rabbit hand puppet on her hand suddenly started talking. "Oh my! I just woke up and saw Yoshino being patted on the head by a lecherous big brother." Yoshino's small face turned beet red as she shook her right hand. "Woo Yashinon." Hearing Yashinon's cheeky voice, my face darkened. "Yashinon, explain yourself. How did I become a lecherous big brother?" Yashinon opened its mouth wide, letting out a smug laugh. Taking advantage of Yoshino's and my moment of vulnerability when we were saved. "But you did save Yoshino and me, so let's consider this a SPE-style reward for you. Kyoya."
As soon as the words fell, my mouth twitched uncontrollably, looking at the comical rabbit hand puppet Yashinan with a strange expression.
In any case, thank you.
Yashinan opened its mouth, waved at me, making a farewell gesture.
Bye-bye, lecherous big brother.
Immediately, Yoshino also bowed, her voice soft and sweet.
Thank you for saving Yashinan. Yashinan, could it be that Yoshino has fallen for this lecherous big brother? Why? Yashinan.
Yoshino's small face flushed crimson, and she shyly called out the rabbit hand puppet's name. Then, her figure transformed into specks of light and disappeared.
Chapter 190, Bathroom Accidents Abound, Thanks for the treat, cookies full of love.
When I returned home, the sky had already completely darkened. As soon as I entered the foyer, I found only two figures in the living room, Nia and Rain. Nia Hanju, who was drawing manga, clearly didn't acknowledge my presence. After all, she was busy meeting a deadline, her manuscript was due tomorrow. Rain, on the other hand, was lounging lazily at the dining table, looking drowsy, picking up sugar cubes and continuously dropping them into a steaming coffee cup beside her until sugar overflowed the rim.
Welcome back, Kyoya. Rain greeted me. When I looked at Rain and my gaze drifted downwards, I couldn't help but exclaim. Fuge. I mean the sugar cubes. Watching the little white rabbits jiggle with Rain's sugar-adding movements, I was extremely worried they would suddenly pop out. Besides that, I was actually quite looking forward to such an accident happening. However, what I envied most was the little blue teddy bear with several stitched-up patches. The little blue teddy bear was squeezed between Rain's assets, enduring suffering beyond its years. If possible, I really wanted to take its place, to bear the pain it couldn't endure. Rain. Are you sure you won't get diabetes from adding so much sugar?
Hearing this, Rain looked at the overflowing cup.
Sorry, I seem to have added too much.
But I do prefer sweet things.
So, the question is, with Rain's first spirit constitution, she probably wouldn't get diabetes, right?
Subsequently, I went to the changing room, took off all my drenched clothes, and pushed open the bathroom door wearing only a bathrobe. However, the next moment, a shy and angry cry sounded. Inside the bathroom stood a graceful girl. The two of us just stared at each other, dumbfounded.
When Toka reacted, she shyly covered her body.
Then, with a punch born of shame and anger, she directly hit my face, then, with steam rising from her head, she quickly closed the bathroom door. The direct hit to my face made blood trickle from my nose.
Damn! What was that about? Although there was a small accident, I still had to take a shower.
So, I opened another bathroom without another word.
However, the same accident happened again.
In the middle of the bathroom stood a blue-haired girl.
Put.
After being subjected to such a shock twice in a row, another stream of blood shot out from my other nostril. Overwhelmed by this unexpected, immense happiness, my eyes turned red, and I finally fainted from the stimulation. When I opened my eyes again, I saw Kotori, Nia, and the other 5 girls sitting before me.
Just as I was about to get up and speak,
I found my hands and feet were tied with ropes.
What happened? Why am I tied up?
Hearing this, Kotori's beautiful eyes blazed with anger. She stared deadly at me and spoke first. You perverted jerk. The moment you got home, you couldn't control yourself and started making moves on 2 beautiful young girls. Truly worthy of a lecherous hentai obsessed with arrow.
Kotori-chan, what makes you think I'm a hentai? I asked curiously. Has still playing dumb? Do you even remember what you saw just now? Just now?
My eyes darted around, carefully recalling. I seem to have seen something white and flowery in the bathroom.
As my voice fell, Toka and Shiori's faces turned as red as a bubbling teapot.
Kotori shot me a disdainful look, as if looking at scum.
Kyoya.
You're finally showing your true male colors, extending your demonic claws towards cute girls. Nia Hanju, who never minded stirring up trouble, also took the opportunity to fan the flames. Only Rain Morrisame remained as calm as water, looking as if it had nothing to do with her. My gaze darted around nervously, a hint of guilt creeping in.
About this, it really was just an accident. Listen to my explanation. Kotori Itsuka sneered. Humph. We should just toss you in Siberia and have you dig potatoes.
Seeing this, Shirori beside her couldn't bear it and immediately spoke up for me.
Kotori, let's just drop this. After all, Kyoya probably really didn't mean it.
Shirori, a wave of gratitude washed over me. I hadn't expected Shirori to be so good to me, so understanding.
Thinking of this, I secretly vowed to properly repay Shirori in the future. Kotori said helplessly, fine.
Since Wanisama has spoken up for him, I'll let this pervert off the hook this time.
Morning, 10:20 a.m.
Right now, a cooking class was in full swing inside a Raisin High School classroom. Fortunately, this class was mostly attended by girls. For the boys, participation was voluntary. Just then, the students in the classroom looked towards the back with surprised expressions. There, two beautiful girls stood before a freshly awoken Kyoya, presenting him with two exquisite boxes of cookies.
Kyoya. The teacher just taught me how to make cookies. I was really paying attention in cooking class. You have to try them,
Toka said, eagerly handing her handmade cookies to me. She wore the expression of a good child eager for praise.
Cookies. I baked some too. Try mine first. Immediately after, Origami Tabichi also placed a box of square-shaped cookies in front of me.
Although her face remained expressionless, I could clearly see the anticipation deep within her eyes.
The two young beauties, both wearing pink aprons for cooking, really looked like diligent, domestic wives. Looking at the two boxes of cookies before me, my mind unconsciously drifted to Anna-senpai's love-filled cookies. However, before I could speak, Toka reacted first.
She immediately turned into a jealous queen, glaring at Origami with dissatisfaction.
You damn robot! Don't you copy me! In both completion time and operational steps, I crushed you. Origami retorted, not backing down. Whatever.
There's no way your cookies could be delicious, Toka complained. She then casually picked up one of Origami's cookies and popped it into her mouth. The next moment, Toka, who had been disdainful of Origami's cookies, instantly revealed an expression of pure ecstasy. Clearly, she only made this look of enjoyment when she ate something delicious. However, Toka's intoxicated expression lasted only a few seconds. Realizing something was amiss, she instantly reverted to her usual demeanor, still stubbornly saying with a tsundere tone, "Humph, it's nothing special. Kyoya, you should just eat my cookies first." Seeing this, Origami Tabichi, not to be outdone, also pushed her box of square cookies forward.
No, you should eat mine.
Watching these two rivals bicker over such a small matter, I sighed helplessly. Then, taking a cookie from each box, I placed them in my mouth and savored them carefully.
I wasn't worried about Origami's.
As expected, her cookies were indeed delicious. However, what surprised me was that Toka, as a novice, had also done quite a good job on her first try. It wasn't the dark matter cuisine I had imagined. In short, both girls' cookies tasted great. That wraps up this part of What If Sign-In System and High School DxD.
Thanks so much for listening.
As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well.
See you in the next one.